Sanjay Jha is joining GD Bakshi and Maruf Raza stays on with us. Nalin Kohli of the BJP is joining us in some time. We'll be joined by National Conference leader Shanaz Ganai on the phone from Poonch in some time. Now, it couldn't have got worse than this, Maruf, really. You know, we've been talking about Yasin Malik. I want to just describe what he did here. He led this group of unscrupulous elements, and as per the reports, he took away the rescue and relief material that was being distributed by the Indian Army under Operation Megh Rahat in aid of the flood victims. And it's all there. He appears from within a mob and tells the boat patrol to disembark and tells the patients to leave. He tells the patients to leave. He says Kashmiris don't want the army rescue efforts to continue. Then there are women in the boat, Maruf. There are women in the boat who are protesting very loudly and saying this is not right. But then another man called Mir, who is an aide of Yasin Malik, comes, he shouts at the women and he tells them, just keep quiet and let us do what we want to do. Now, how long are we going to tolerate this, Maruf? I mean, at a time like this man needs to be in lockup for the efforts to actually continue.
Arnab, you know, the central point is that, you know, the swelling of goodwill in favor of the army and the recognition that the army actually was the one force which stood by the people of Kashmir when this national calamity happened, when the government was completely found flat-footed and wanting, has begun to influence the minds of a lot of people in Kashmir who have been subjected to anti-India propaganda, not now, not since the insurgency began, but some historical evidence shows since the days of Sheikh Abdullah. So please understand that generations in Kashmir have grown up with anti-India sentiment and seeing the Indian Army as an image of an occupation force. And Hafiz Saeed plays up to it across the border. Yasin Malik and the like are now beginning to understand that with this kind of initiative and with all the single-minded determination of the armed forces to stand by the people of Kashmir,
but
their political capital is completely run aground.
No, they have no political capital.
And they are now wanting to bounce back one way or the other.
They have lost their ground.
This low act on their part, is a symbol of what is going to come more. Orna, please understand, as the situation stabilizes, a lot of these guys will bounce back, and you will be surprised to know it is not just them in the valley, but there are a lot of people outside the valley who still are their sympathizers and feel that the people of Kashmir have faced injustice, and whatever good is being done by the armed forces today is not good enough to cover up for their unfortunate
I repeat tonight, I'm taking
which
calls.
The army and the armed forces have not entirely been responsible
I'm taking calls this evening about this traitor Hafiz Saeed. And I want you to tell us what you think about this man and why any government should let such a man loose. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just play the pictures repeatedly and tell you what actually happened. This man, no, watch Maruf, just I want to describe what happened. He has stolen, he is a thief, he has stolen an NDRF relief boat in broad daylight with the help of his goons. He has forced ailing women, desperate women, off the relief boat. He did this despite the protests of these helpless women who the army was helping. And when these women came and told him, don't do this, he yelled at them and asked them to be silent. I am asking tonight, and I want your calls to start coming in now, where was this psychotic separatist Yasin Malik when our armed forces and our government pooled in resources from every nook and every corner of the state and elsewhere to rescue and aid the stranded in the floods? He steals a boat, he sabotages relief efforts, and I can't but contrast that to what the Indian Army has done, which is confirmed rescue more than 300,000 people. I want to know where our patience is stemming from tonight. General Bakshi, I want to know. Nalin Kohli, welcome. I want to know where our patience is stemming from tonight and why we should not put this man in lockup tonight. Sanjay, I'm coming to you. GD Bakshi, please. GD Bakshi, please.
About time, Arnab, about time. He should have been locked up long ago.
I agree with you,
excuse me. 3 days back, this man was rescued by the army. Did he refuse it then? For his miserable life, he clung on to that army boat. And today he is driving sick women off that boat. You know who this man is? He and his organization, the JKLF, were responsible for the genocide, for the ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Pandits, which he was responsible for, like Slobodan Milosevic, like Razdovic, he should be tried by the International Court of Justice for crimes against humanity. This man roams free. This man is rescued by the army, and he repays it by pulling sick women off of a rescue boat. He should be hanged. He should have been hanged for that genocide.
This is the worst form. It's the worst form.
Ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Pandits. How is he roaming free?
It's the worst form of treachery. I agree with you, General Bakshi. And it is the worst form of treachery given the fact that he himself was rescued by the Indian army. But I want to know, Nalin Kohli and Sanjay Jha, how does our political establishment have so much patience with such a man? Where does that stem from, Mr. Kohli?
Because of priorities. And the priority is to get relief and rehabilitation work going. Why
but he is sabotaging your relief and rehabilitation efforts.
1 minute, let me finish. Yes, you're right about being agitated, and so are we. The point is, I mean, these kind of people just come across as vultures of credit, vultures of humanity. But the fact of the matter is, by focusing on, say, a Yasin Malik as a priority, should we remove the focus from the people who are suffering there, and he stands exposed too? How can we stop it down? Every hour that will be lost is an hour that somebody may lose his life,
sir, but every minute,
or is closer to sickness.
No, but every minute, no, sir, I disagree with you, Mr. Kohli. Every minute that you let a traitor like Yasin Malik lose, you undermine the scale of the tragedy in Jammu and Kashmir. More than 200 people have lost their lives. More than 150,000 people are still stranded. There is a serious threat of waterborne diseases. 2,600 villages in Kashmir Valley have been submerged. At a time like this, we do not, and I underline, we do not need a man like Yasin Malik going and openly sabotaging rescue efforts, and on top of it, Sanjay Jha, on top of it, spreading hate all over against the people who are risking their lives. Sanjay Jha, my concern really is today is that if because of the hate that he is spreading, any harm comes to our brave soldiers who are doing their utmost on the ground, I feel we can't risk that. And I think we need to put this man in lockup. I'd like your views on that, especially after the evidence we have shown tonight. Sanjay.
No, absolutely, Arnab. I can tell you that what you have shown on your channel, I mean, it exposes the separatists' real commitment for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. I mean, you can see here something which is extremely reprehensible. It's shameful. It's one of the worst natural disasters to hit any state. The government machinery was incapacitated, and therefore you have had the army chief saying that, you know, he's gone on a boat himself. He's inspired the army. There's been the air force, the paramilitary forces, everyone. As a heroic effort, it still continues as you and I are talking right now, Arnab. So for the separatists, including Mr. Malik or anybody else, to have obstructed humanitarian aid reaching people who need it, I think it's a very, very, I don't know, I can use a very strong word on your channel, but I will say it's shameful, it's mortifying, it's repugnant.
No, but you all say this, but we do nothing. No, you all say this, but we do nothing.
I do hope the people of Jammu and Kashmir will respond to this.
No, sir, I personally believe that I don't know where the political parties get this kind of patience. I'm opening up to phone lines right now, and my question to all the viewers of the Newshour is, should this traitor Yasin Malik be jailed for sabotaging the relief efforts and for hijacking an aid boat? Yes, Nalin Kohli, I hope you will not prevaricate on the second time that you choose to speak on this tonight. I feel that you were stronger on these issues when you were in the opposition than when you are in power. You did not have the patience for Yasin Malik when he shared the dais with Hafiz Saeed in Islamabad in February 2013. You said at that point of time that were this man to do any anti-national activities, if we were in power, we wouldn't tolerate it. Well, sir, you are in power. And not only is he doing anti-national activity, he's sabotaging genuine relief efforts at a time when our own army chief is on the ground supervising the relief. What message do you send?
Mr. Goswami.
What message do you send, Mr. Kohli, by being so extremely liberal towards this man? Yes, sir. And then I will open up to calls.
There are two parts to it, sir. Absolutely. There are two parts to it. That you are saying we are being patient with Mr. Yasin Malik.
More than patient.
I don't agree. he's not a priority. One minute, he's not a priority.
Relief
Because for
efforts
every
are a
Yasin
priority.
Malik, our Jawans have actually gone out. 1 minute. Yeah, absolutely. And for every Yasin Malik, each one of our Jawans has earned that goodwill by neglecting their own families and going there. The Indian nation, the Prime Minister is there for the people of Jammu Kashmir.
If Yasin Malik hijacks an army relief boat and you don't take action against him. So if he hijacks an army relief boat and you don't take action against him, sir, Mr. Kohli, I'm so sorry, but then if you take no action, then there will be others who will be encouraged to do the same thing. So there will be others who will be encouraged to do the same thing.
You have a point there, Mr. Goswami. You have a point there. Now, I am not an expert on this to say whether it's a state issue in terms of law and order or whether it's calamity because they are operating through the state government. No, whether the army can come in direct or the central government can. But that's a matter of detail. What Mr. Yasin Malik has done, he will pay for it. Because he's not entitled to hijack a relief boat. It's as clear as that.
Sir, I'm sorry, but these same separatists of the line of Gilani and Yasin Malik have been speaking out against separate homes for Kashmiri Pandits, and in doing so, they've been speaking against their return to the state. They share a dais with Hafiz Saeed, but I've shown you evidence of how they're actually sabotaging relief efforts on the ground. I feel, sir, that you're treating them with kid gloves tonight. I feel, sir, that you're treating them with the same kid gloves you used to criticize the Congress for. I need to take a few callers. Let's get a sense of how people think on the ground. From Bangalore, the first caller this evening is Bhim Singh. Good evening, Mr. Singh. What do you think should be done with Yasin Malik?
Mr. Goswami, good evening.
Yes, sir.
I'm very much appalled at the thoughts of, I presume because I'm standing away from the TV, what Mr. Kohli has said. I think he has used the word people are coming out like vultures. Let me also tell you this. Even vultures are better than this particular Yasin Malik. You know, they feed on carcass. They don't feed on live people. Let me, okay, fine. Right, I being from the defense forces, I can sympathize with the kind of work which those defense people are doing. Let me tell you, if a small person in the railway department, a class 4 guy, takes a very small bribe and that too hesitatingly, and that bribe is given by a person who wants to give a bribe, you would suspend him. And for days together, he has to go from pillar to post for a particular job. Here you have a person who is he is a traitor. And you have proved it in your channel time and again that he is doing some anti-national activities. He's a secessionist. He's a dissenter. Why can't we lift him straight away and then
I don't know, Mr. Bhim Singh. I frankly don't know. In fact, if I may say, like you, I too am completely frustrated at the fact that we ask these questions. And the fact is that I like you, Mr. Bhim Singh, like you, I have been asking this question incessantly. And with you, Mr. Bhim Singh,
you tell me one thing. Why do we require too much of evidence? First of all, we require evidence. How much evidence do you want to give?
Sir, these
kinds of people should have been lifted. And Mr. Kohli said, okay, for every kind of Yasin Malik, we are creating a nice one. I would say, remove so many Yasin Maliks. You can put so many Indian soldiers there. Right, people are there to see who's doing what. The Indian army is doing a very great thing.
Mr. Bhim Singh, I think you have spoken for a lot of people tonight. And I don't know, Mr. Bhim Singh, I don't know. I don't know any self-respecting nation where even the rescue and relief boats would be taken away because there is evidence, Mr. Bhim Singh.
Time and again proving them that yes, you can do
yes, Mr. Bhim Singh. Let me take another caller, please. I'm flooded with calls on this subject, and I think GD Bakshi and Maroof, I think from the standard political script tonight needs to be a script of a government that has the teeth to actually nail these anti-nationals. Our next caller this evening is Shubhojit from Patna. Let's stay with the pictures. Maroof, I'm going to come to you. I know you have a comment coming up. Shubhojit, good evening. Shubhojit, good evening.
Good
evening, Shubhojit.
Good evening, Arnav.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question is to you that if Hurriyats do not understand the value... Yes, good evening, sir. Good evening, Arnav.
Good evening. Go ahead.
When the Hurriyat leaders don't understand the importance and the value of democracy, why they are being allowed to roam around in different parts of the country?
I just don't understand, Shubhojit. I mean, I think I'll toss that across to Maroof. Because, Maroof, the fact of the matter remains here that Yasin Malik is deliberately trying to undermine the Indian Army and the NDRF's efforts. He is saying, we are the only ones who will operate here. You will not operate here. This is a desperate attempt of a separatist to gain ground after being completely absent from the scene in rescue efforts in Jammu and Kashmir. A separatist who himself, as G.D. Bakshi rightly says, was rescued by the army. I mean, what more do we need to do at this point of time? I don't know why Nalin Kohli today appears to be so unruffled by this. Because if separatists go and start stealing for every boat that is hijacked, lives are at stake. For every little bit of relief material that does not reach the people who it is meant for, lives are at stake of innocent men, women and children. Yes, Maruf.
Actually, we are on the same page.
Very clearly the evidence
is that it's a matter of priority.
Very clearly,
in terms of reaching out. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, Maruf, go ahead.
What I'd say is that all the evidence that you provided on the channel is going to be more constructive evidence than a lot of hearsay that may be available subsequently, and that is good enough for when the law and order machinery gets its act together back again in J&K, hopefully in a week's time or something. I think this could be evidence enough to nail this man. Please understand that his previous acts which he has done brazenly defying the Indian state, whether working with the Pakistanis and the Lashkar-e-Toiba for the relief of the POK citizens during the last earthquake, or hobnobbing with Hafiz Saeed and in Pakistan, or going and meeting the Pakistani High Commissioner even after the Ministry of External Affairs said, don't talk to the Hurriyat leaders, continuously defying the Indian state. Bulk of his activities he got away with when the last government was there, which was more open and more free to allowing the Hurriyat leaders to get their way.
Yes,
I think this
but that's not what the BJP said.
It's going to turn the screws on them. It's just a matter of time. I think Yasin Malik should be made a specimen of anti-national activities and labeled with charges ranging from sedition to disrupting aid assistance to wanting citizens. I mean, there are a number of clauses under which he can be nailed. I'm not a lawyer, but I know that when you defy the writ of the Indian state, you can be nailed. There needs to be. But right now we have a situation in the state of J&K where the political leadership is floating around in the water like all the other citizens who are unfortunate victims. And we need to get the machinery back. Right now,
I think
the other point which I wish to make is with Yasin Malik and the Hurriyat leadership, their political capital has been destroyed. Their constituencies are gone. They're going to do everything possible to try and bounce back. But I don't think they have a hope in hell of bouncing back, because the bulk of Kashmiri
I'd like to submit. No, I'd like to submit tonight. I'd like to submit tonight that it does not require any logic but simple common sense to know that Yasin Malik is doing this on behalf of the Pakistani army and the ISI. The man has been charged with receiving money from the ISI in 1992. One second, sir. Syed Ali Shah Gilani had given a recommendation letter to the Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist arrested by the Delhi police. Gilani and Yasin Malik have been working together and promised the Talibanization of Kashmir and slammed the Indian state. And now on the ground, when people are grieving and when their losses have not yet been even totally assessed, he goes on the ground, he hijacks boats, he takes away relief material, he tortures women, and he carries out a parallel reign of terror. And all that we hear tonight, and I'm really sorry to say this, all that we hear tonight from the officials is, you know what, it's not a priority now. Nalin Kohli comes on television and says, it's not a priority now. I don't know what is a priority, Nalin Kohli. Nalin Kohli, I don't know what is a priority.
If you ask me, in the priority,
Yasin Malik can be locked up and investigations begun.
Someone who's suffering and saving them, or dealing with a separatist, and as we have seen him exposed, Yasin Malik, my priority 100% is with saving the person first, because that's what they deserve, not someone like Yasin Malik.
He is coming in the way. Sir, he is coming.
Let me just finish.
No, sir, he is coming in the way. Sir, he is blocking the rescue efforts.
Equally
undermining the rescue efforts.
Goswami, that the more he stands exposed, the more this kind of thing
Mr.
is
Kohli,
seen by the people
So what
of Jammu
kind
and
of a
Kashmir,
country are we?
the more
So
this
what kind of a
continuity
country
gets
are we?
finished.
Why are we so weak
are
and
not here to
defenseless
make
about?
martyrs
So who
of
is Yasin
people
Malik?
Who are
Sir,
looking
who is Yasin
desperately
Malik?
for lifelines.